Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 3, and today I'm gonna be giving you part 5 of What If Naruto Had the Ultimate Nature Bloodline. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto Was neglected and lost everything over an Anime King 2. And yeah guys, stay tuned for a brand new episode coming over Anime King 3, which I hope that you guys will enjoy. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say we begin this new episode? Start the intro. So the last part we left off, Naruto had enough of Sesame, as he told her that he didn't care anymore. Besides, once this all came out, he would simply tell Menma and Mito to never talk to her again, and he will never show his face at the Uchiha compound again. That made her rethink her actions, as she told him that she will forget about it. He then saw her feet was actually injured, as he asked her what was wrong. She told him that she was practicing and she got hurt. He sighed as he reluctantly let her get on his back as he brought her towards the training ground, as she had a big smile on her face. Well, she still teased him a bit though. When they got there, the teacher decided to make Naruto and Menma fight. Mito told him that it wasn't a good idea, but the man said that he could handle it, as Iruka think that he could stop them rather easily. After all, he wasn't a Chunin sensei for nothing, him along with Mizuki. But Mito told him that the both of them usually get out of hand. And that is what they did. Everyone in the class were shocked and awe as both boys clashed vigorously. Their clash ended up causing mayhem, as the both of them were going to perform hand signs, but they were stopped. Haruka and Mizuki had to jump into the fray to stop them from doing anything stupid. So with that out of the way, the triplets had made their way towards where Shisui was, as Itachi told them that he didn't have any missions. Shisui and Naruto had this ongoing gag going on, where they stole each other food, as Naruto stole Shisui dongos. The dongo that was made for Shisui, which Abermi, had planted a paralyzing poison on it. It was because it was all a setup, as Shisui decided to teach him in the body flicker technique. As Shisui rather enjoyed the kids' company, being a heartwarming person that he is, he enjoyed spending time with them and not to mention helping them as well. The three of them were aiming for greatness. It was then that Danzo decided to intervene. This was his chance. He had brought Fu Yamanaka to erase their minds once everything was over, or perhaps he would just take them as leverage against Minato. The plan would be perfect, but Danzo was completely caught off guard when chains burst from the ground as he tried to grab onto Shisui's eye. Mito had wormed their chains on the ground and stopped Danzo. That was a momentary distraction that Shisui needed, as the man knocked Danzo away. Danzo realized that fighting Shisui in this state was bad, not to mention the poison was not working, as Naruto was sweating badly because he ate dango. It was then that a member from the root knocked into Mito and sent her sailing, as Naruto's eyes went wide along with Menma, as the power inside of him started to rise. The power of the fox started to burn away all the toxin in his bloodstream, tearing it apart. As Naruto's body started to get extremely cold, its ice bloodline flipping out of control. As Naruto froze the entire ground around Menma, the ground was warm as he started to radiate heat as well. The trees and plants around him started to twist. But Shisui jumped in the way as he conjured up a combination of fire and wind. A massive fireball that forced the envoys to retreat. When Mito woke up, she was outside of the office, as she had to go inside quickly and told her dad that she placed one of the seals on one of those guys. She had the kuna in her hand, as Minato hugged his daughter, as that would definitely help them. She had ripped off the ceiling tag and placed it on him. The envoy didn't even notice. when he bumped into her. Kushina was vengeful. As she got her things, as she got her blade, she picked up her sword as she made her way. After all, she hadn't been lying back all these years. She has been actually training. Not to mention she was a extravagant kunoichi in her time. After all, her skills have not lacked over the years. So when the group arrived, Danzo was completely shocked as Hiruzen shook his head in disappointment. This time he could not save him. He had always tried his best to let Danzo off the hook, but this time it would not work. Snad, they wanted to palm the man face in. Kakashi went by the three siblings as he made sure they were okay, as he told them everything was gonna be fine. The reign of Danzo came to an end right there and there. It was his mistake of messing with Shisui when the three tripped his around. So with that out of the way, time passed. As Naruto and Minmo were quite upset that day, that they were slow to protect Mito, as they vowed that they would train harder and Mito vowed that she would not slap back ever again. 2 years passed after that as they were finally ready. All of them had their headbands. The test was a walk in the park for them, given things that they knew. As they went to the class, the team assignments were given out, as Naruto was placed in a team with Sasuke and Sesame, and their sensei would be Shisui. Mito, Sakura, and Minmo were placed on one team, with their sensei being Yamato, and the rest was as same as canon. So yeah guys, it was basically as we left off. You guys can switch across the place and check out for yourself. So just to begin this new episode, Shisui was dressed in the standard Jonin jacket, with a black shirt underneath, black pants, his forehead protector on his head, and black sandals, as he stood there with a smile on his face, as he looked towards his soon-to-be Jennings. Sasuke was wearing a dark blue shirt, with the Uchiha symbol in the back. He was wearing white pants with blue straps going around the side, and he was also wearing black sandals, as he had the forehead protector tied on his forehead. Beside him was Sesame, as she was wearing a black skirt, with a black shorts underneath, a tight black shirt, with a jacket over that, as she had on arm guards, and slight dark crimson sandals, with her headband tied up on her forehead, as she had 2 pigtails going down to her back, and 2 bangs coming down the side of her face. And the last one that was standing there was none other than Naruto Senju, as his hair went slightly past his shoulders, as he liked it that way. His headband came up at the top, holding back the bangs that were threatening to fall down to his face, as he was wearing a dark red armor with black trimmings going down it that fit him quite well, as he was wearing black clothing underneath that. On the back was a Uzumaki symbol, and on the chest plate was a Senju symbol, with the Konoha headband wrapped around his forehead, and his pouch, and his weapon holder as well, as he stood there. Alright, says Shisui, before we move on to anything else, you all must know that there's another test. Test? Said Sasuke. About what? Well, Sasuke, this test will entail if you become Jennings or not. Sasuke blinked at that, confused. Then what did you do at the academy? As Naruto started to look like he realized something, Shisui narrowed his eyes towards him. Is there something on your mind, Naruto? He asked. It all makes sense now. When I was speaking to Big Brother Kakashi, he told me that there would be some kind of test after my test. He told me to look underneath the underneath, and he was laughing. That irritating laughing, that giggle, that got on my nerves, said Naruto. You speak like your laugh is better, said Sesame, as Naruto turned towards her. You don't even know how Kakashi laughed, do you? I don't have to. But you don't have a good laugh either. Well, at least I don't have the voice of a banshee. Alright, that's enough, you two, said Shisui, as those two don't seem to like each other one bit for some reason. Not anything too dangerous, but they don't seem to get along. Alright. So today he says he pulled out 2 bells. You're gonna have to get these. Get them, said Sasuke. Yes. That's the only way you can pass this test, for you to get these bells. But he pulled out a small timer as he placed on a log nearby. If you fail to get them by 12 o'clock, you will be sent back to the academy, and you will have to wait until next year to graduate. As the 3 Jennings were surprised by that, they would have to wait another year if they fail. Wait, there is just 2, said Sesame. How are we all gonna pass? Well, I'm glad you asked. That's the thing. You can see from the way it's set up, one of you will fail no matter what. The 3 of them were confused by that. So one of them will fail? Well, That's all I have to say on that subject, said Shisui. And also, come at me with the intent to kill or you won't get one. Is this for real, Naruto asks. What do you mean, Shisui said. Well, you were not giving your title for no reason, said Naruto. I know that I'm strong. As Sesame scoffed at that, as Naruto chose to ignore her. But I'm not that cocky, said Naruto. None of us here can beat you. No genin can beat you, as a matter of fact. So this makes absolutely no sense. Well, that is how the test is gonna be, Naruto-kun, said Shisui. Now, try your best. You have 5 hours, he said. So, let's begin this, shall we? 3, 2, the three of them got themselves ready. 1. As they flashed away, Shisui chuckled to himself, as this was the best way of testing students to see if they would go against what they've learned in their past year of the academy, to stick together as teammates, to go over each other's head to get a belt for themselves. Shisui was really hoping to see how this will play out, given the little of tension between Sesame and Naruto. He would have to work on that, so the both of them would come to resent each other as they grew, because for some reason they didn't like each other. Or perhaps it was the other way around, and just because they were kids they were just overthinking things, Shisui wondered to himself. As he went over to a nearby tree and leaned up, before he slowly pulled out a book written by Jiraiya the Sannin, The Tales of a Gutsy Ninja, as he sat back waiting. As he could already sense where they all were, it would be rather easy to flash towards them and take them out of the game. But let's see how they would work together, he thought to himself. Meanwhile, Naruto sat there where he was. As he was confused, this made absolutely no sense. For another thing, they can't beat him and he's never heard of a team with 2 members before. As he leaned back, he remembered something his father said to him once. Always trust your comrades. Always be there for your comrades. With teamwork, you can accomplish a lot. He then remembered something that he heard from this guy that always chased after Kakashi, demanding some kind of rematch. The will of fire burned brightly in comrades, and it will never extinguish. That guy was really weird. He also had this clone of himself, this little small clone that looked just like him. Perhaps this was... As a smile came to Naruto's face as he picked himself up. As he started to walk, he snapped his head to the right as Sesame was standing there. Found you, she said. I figured that you would be too stupid to understand, but I think I figured out what this test is about. Oh, I'm stupid. I think I figured it out as well, said Naruto. So let me hear what you have to say first. Nah, why don't you tell me what you have to say? No, said Naruto. Fine then, we can just go our separate ways, and when you fail, don't come crying to me. When I fail, you mean when... He took a deep breath. You know what? I'm not gonna argue with you. I think we should work as a team. She stepped closer to him. Incredibly close. What? Said Naruto as he took a step back. Oh, I guess you're not as stupid as I thought, she said, with a smile on her face. A moron calling someone stupid. I guess it's rather ironic, said Naruto, as her eye twitched at that. Well, if I'm a moron, what does that make you? Pea pants, she said, as Naruto got close in her face. You poured apple juice on me, he said. I do not recall that, she said. Now come on, let's go find that brother of mine. As Naruto sighed, he made his way with her. Sasuke was crouched down, until he heard, Hey! As he looked up. What are you guys doing here, Sasuke said. Well, I found out what the real meaning of this test was. You, said Sesame. Don't listen to him, Sasuke. He's just trying to steal my thunder. Now, listen to this. Moments later, Shisui felt the three of their chakras coming together. Seems they managed to come to agreement. He watched as the three of them burst out of the bushes, a head-on attack. As he smiled, he watched the three of them rush towards him, their speed flipping as they turned, trying to confuse him. The three of them threw a kunai towards him. Shisui simply ducked, before turning to the side as they embedded into the tree. As he then looked up to see Naruto dropping from the sky, quite a high jump. As he moved away, as Naruto's fist impacted in the ground. As Naruto twists and swings his fist around, Shisui caught it with ease. Grabbing Naruto's wrist, he flipped Naruto over his shoulder. As Naruto grabbed onto his hand tight. As Naruto pulled his hand down, but Shisui was much stronger, as he simply lifted Naruto up. He then turned as he saw two massive fireballs coming towards him. He twisted and tossed Naruto away before he leaped up in mid-air. It was then that he saw three kunais coming towards the direction. He twisted as he grabbed the first one, used that to deflect the other two. As he flipped over a massive Fuma shuriken, he twists with the momentum as he grabbed onto the shuriken as he pulled him away. He then turned with it as he slammed it right into the ground as he came to a stop. He then twists as he pulled the Fuma shuriken and blocked several ice needles that came towards him, destroying them with the Fuma shuriken. The ground then got cold, extremely so as he moved, as the ice came rushing up where he once was, trying to entangle him. He flipped in mid-air as he landed softly. The moment his hand touched the ground exploded, a massive sonic wave ripping right through it, tearing it apart. Shisui flashed away as he reappeared in front of the edge of the forest, standing on a tree branch as he looked over. He watched as the three clones that attacked him first were gone. The real Naruto, Sasami, and Sasuke were in hiding, sending attacks his way while the clones attack him. Quite smart, he thought. Oh, you haven't seen nothing yet, he heard the voice. As he smiled, he turned, only to see smoke. The entire air was enveloped in smoke. As he caught him, he felt his fingers tingling as it started to get hot and hotter. He flashed out of it, to come face to face with Sasami as he blocked her kunai. Grabbing her wrist, he flipped her and threw her to the side. As he blocked a punch towards his face from Sasuke, he slapped the fist down, only for him to turn as he tilted his head slightly as Naruto fist passed his face. As Naruto smirked as he turned his head, Shisui flashed away as a sonic wave came from Naruto's mouth, tearing through the earth once again. Faster than he thought to himself, as Shisui landed in a patch of grass. Something was wrong. As he looked down, breaking the illusion, hundreds of Naruto clones emerged, as they all dogpile on top of him, trying to smother him with the numbers. But Shisui was already gone. As he stood where he was, he heard a high-pitched sound, as he felt the chakra invading his system, trying to override his nerves. Genjutsu, he thought to himself. As Naruto stood where he was, his hands locked together, a sound released Genjutsu that put the opponent into a paralyzing state, where they will have numerous sound barriers explode around their ears in the Genjutsu, forcing them to feel immense pain inside in the real world. Their bodies is left wide open. Shisui looked down towards Naruto. Nice trick there with the Genjutsu, but it wasn't fast enough, he said. As Naruto slowly turned towards him, Shisui reached down as Naruto smiled. Sorry, Sensei, he said, as Naruto's body turned into clay. As Shisui leaped away, Guts, the real Naruto said, as the body of the clone exploded. A massive explosion. Another nature transformation of Naruto that he learned over the past 2 years. Explosion release. Combination of earth and lightning together. He couldn't do it on a grand scale because he has not fully mastered the earth and lightning technique, but he could muster up explosions together. His technique involved using clay to create grand explosions, something that he became rather fond of. Well, his mother was quite angry when he nearly blew up the backyard when he was trying to push it into overdrive. So, except for excessive use, he wouldn't push it that far ever again. Shisui reappeared, uninjured, as he had a smile on his face when the three of them came out. As Sasuke was holding a kunai, so was Sasami, and Naruto was in front of him, his fist cocked back as he shot it forward. Shisui grabbed Sasuke's hand as he twisted, not too hard, as he grabbed Sasami by the jacket, throwing Sasuke right into her, knocking him off balance, as he ducked on Naruto's punch before delivering a swift punch in Naruto's stomach, who winks in pain a bit. Now, said Naruto as he grabbed onto Shisui's hands. As four of his clones appeared around Shisui watched them as they went through hand sign. Ice release, they said. Confinement mirrors. As Shisui watched as 4 ice mirrors form around him, as he saw his reflection in all of them. The Naruto that was still holding on to him smiled, before another Naruto outside the real one went through hand sign as he molded his chakra together. Boiler release, he said. A combination of fire and water mixed together. Skill mist technique, said Naruto, as he started to release a white steam from his mouth. The thing moved forward, as one of the clones outside spoke. You better give up, Sensei, before you're boiled alive. Shisui watched as even the ice mirrors started to melt that were trying to keep him inside. Shisui kneed the clone in his stomach that was trying to hold on to him. He then heard, fire style, Fireball jutsu from two different areas, as two massive fireballs also rushed inside. Give up, Sensei, said Naruto from the outside. As the smoke and the fireballs were getting closer, the three of them heard laughter coming from the inside. The ground then shook as water exploded outwards, drenching all three of them, blowing them back because of the pressure. As Shisui stood there in the midst of all of it, with a smile on his face, truly, utterly impressed at their little trap, Naruto boy release was something rather deadly. The more he learned how to control that, the more acidic and the more corroded it came. A very dangerous technique that he should never use in his comrades. Well, he did give him the option of giving up, as Shisui stood there impressed that they made him use one of his technique. Well, he didn't have to. He could have simply vanished out of there. But he wanted to put on a good show for them. But he had to say, they were skilled. And not to mention, they already performed necessary means of this test by working together. As he saw all three of them got up, drenched down to the bone. Then he saw them poofed away. That surprised Shisui. In the couple of seconds it took him to release that water jutsu, they were able to switch with clones. Quite impressive. He then felt it as he jumped up in the air. The water that he released turned into massive ice spikes that tried to impale him as he flipped. He raised a hand. That's enough, he said. The three of them came out of the bushes, looking a bit shriveled after using techniques after techniques, but nothing too draining, as Naruto himself has a massive reservoir of chakra. It was large. Sasuke was as any normal genin or a bit above. Sesame on the other hand was a genius. The girl was smart, she think fast, and she was always best with coming up plans as well, as she took more after Itachi than Sasuke. But Sasuke was not lacking either, as the boy was smart as well when it comes towards techniques and not to mention learning. Despite it took him a while to learn the fireball jutsu, his fireball was massive compared to other Uchihas over the time. I guess we won, said Naruto. And how do you figure, asked Shisui, as a clone of Naruto came out of the bushes, as he reached over toward the tree and pulled the ice needle out that was holding on to the two bells. Shisui looked down. What? He was surprised, as he forgot about the bells while just having fun testing his team. When I threw the second volley of ice needles, said Naruto. They weren't really aimed towards you, said Naruto. But you were too preoccupied in holding on to my clone. You destroyed the first two. And that third one, it got past you. Well, given the fact that you were occupied in using that water technique of yours, that is what gave you the ace in the hole. We tried our best to keep your mind off the bells, said Sesame, so you wouldn't be thinking about them anymore. I guess it worked. Well, it is my plan, she said with a smile. As Sasuke looked towards him. So what now, he asks. Now that we have the bells. Well, that is up to you. You have them, Naruto. What are you gonna do with them? Well, it's simple, said Naruto as he tossed one to Sasuke and then one to Sesame. We all pass, don't we, he said. And how do you figure, said Shisui. Because I've never seen a two-man team before. And we all work as teammates. Shisui said nothing, just looked at them as he waited for a response. Come with me, he said, as he took them all to training ground 3, where the monument was, as he was going to teach them a really important lesson that will stick with them. Meanwhile, that was going on, as Menma had just finished put the bandage on Sakura's nose. They passed. Their test with Yamato was quite easy. Well, when they looked underneath, it was a bell test for them to get the bells. But they were supposed to work as a team, as they had passed. But it was not Yamato that hurt Sakura's nose, it was Mito, as she was over to the side as she had a angry look on her face, despite her being the one that punched Sakura. It's gonna be alright now, said Menma. Nothing to worry about, as he gave the girl a smile, as she nodded, before she looked over towards Mito with a glare. What? Said Mito as she glared back towards Sakura. You punched me in the nose, Sakura said. I told you that not eating was not something right, and yet you did the same thing. Trying to diet because you want Sasuke to think that you're slim? For him to fall in love with you? That's not gonna work. Besides, Sasuke told me something you want to hear. What? Sakura said. He doesn't like weak girls. Mito was quite angry. Sakura was completely out of it because she hadn't eaten last night, and she decided to skip breakfast this morning because she wanted to look thin for Sasuke. Something that Mito really hated in Kunoichi, when they focus on just looks alone, and not depending on their strength, knowing that they could go out there in the field and get killed. Something that would happen to her if she did not snap out of this act. Sakura said that she could hold her own as a Kunoichi, so Mito decided to show her otherwise. A swift punch in the nose. Mito got to her feet and grabbed Sakura by the hand. Hey, what are you doing? You're coming with me. I'm gonna let my grandma look at your nose. And I'm gonna let her talk to you. Because it seems like my words are not gonna get through. Men must sigh. The two girls doesn't really get along that much. The reason being, Mito hated Kunoichis that just focus on looks. As Mito had saw what happened to her when she almost got herself really hurt when that guy back then had tackled her and she was unable to do anything but place the tag on him. What if he had come with the intention to kill her? She would have died. From that day on, she made a promise to herself that she would never be so outclassed ever again. She would push herself to get stronger and stronger, and over the past years, it helped. So seeing Sakura fawn over Sasuke like this, not eating because she wanted Sasuke to notice her, it pissed Mito off to no end. That is why she broke her nose. She was gonna bring her to Snavy. Snavy would snap her out of this funk. Yes, her grandmother will. Minma wasn't really against it at all, as Sakura need to stop worrying about how people think about her and focus on being a Kunoichi, or she will die. That was the truth. As Minma made his way off, he had no doubt in his mind that Naruto passed his Genin team tests. As if there was one thing about him, he was never caught slacking, always prepared, always ready. Minma clenched his fists, as he couldn't wait for the moment when they actually get to fight again. Once they learn all they can and go all out, the fight would truly be glorious, Minma thought to himself. If there was one thing he enjoyed, it was testing himself fully against his siblings. And that chance will come again. After all, they had a record keeping. Against him and Naruto, they had battled 10 times. And Naruto has won 6, and he only won 4. That made him quite upset, as he wanted to make it tie or at least pass Naruto. When it comes towards Mito, he fought Mito 12 times. And he has won only 7, while she has won 5. Naruto has fought Mito 7 times, while he has won 4. She has won 3, and that is the record at the moment, as Minma was gonna push it even further, as he was already getting work with his Mokidan. He knew exactly why his father made the teams this way, as he knew what Chisu was capable of, and he knew what the man was proficient in, something that Naruto needed to help advance his Keiki Genkais. But he wasn't going to be caught slacking as well. Minma went through hand signs. He placed his hand down on the ground. A small sapling grew from the ground and grew and grew and grew as it turned into a tree about his size, as he smiled to himself. As he made his way off. Time skip. So how can I help you, Naruto-kun? Said Minato as he looked down towards his son. I'm just here to confirm something, Dad, said Naruto. The team placements. The reason you placed me on Team Shisui, he said. You mean Team 7? Yes, said Naruto. Is it because of his affinities? As Minato smiled at that. His son, always caught not to think so easily. Well, exactly, said Minato. You see, Shisui has complete mastery over water, wind, and fire, able to mix his elements, like the wind and the fire, to create a stronger explosion of flames. Most of those are needed for your bloodlines. They are essential in a lot of yours. So, he will be there to help you and guide you along the way. While Minma and Mito mostly need to focus on their Mokidan. So that is why Yamato will be helping them. But he will also be helping you occasionally. As Naruto nodded at that, well, I suppose you already got all of the confirmations. You already know that I passed, don't you? As Minato simply nodded. What about Minma and Mito, said Naruto. They passed as well. As Naruto smiled at that, well, he already knew, he just wanted to confirm. So tell me, how are things going along with Sesame? As Naruto frowned at that, Minato was able to caught on to the slight subtle gestures whenever Sesame came over. With her and Naruto, they didn't seem to like each other at all. Both him and Kushina had spoken to Naruto about it, but Naruto told him that it wasn't anything too over the top. The reason why he said that was because Sesame had apologized for well, forced him to do things for her. And he figured there was no reason of causing problem with the two of them, and Mito and her as well, seeing that they were good friends. I don't have any problem so far, said Naruto. But she's always trying to one-up me, thinking that she's better than me or something. Perhaps that's not the reason. Perhaps she likes you, said Minato. I doubt it, said Naruto. As a matter of fact, she kind of hates me. For absolutely no reason, seeing that I had never done anything to her. Well, I'm sure you will figure it out soon enough. Yeah, and maybe then she will stop treating me this way, said Naruto. And actually, speak to me like she speaks to Sasuke. Well, that's her brother. It's gonna be different, said Minato. Yeah, I guess you're right. The door then opened up, as Minato turned as he saw his two other kids walked inside. Mito was pouting as he noticed. Mito, what's wrong? Mom is a bit angry at me, she said. About? Well, she broke Sakura's nose, said Minma. You did what? Why? Was it the team training? No, said Minma, as Mito glared towards him. It's because Sakura is not, well, eating properly. What do you mean not eating properly? Well, her parents do feed her, but she's on this diet because she wants Sasuke to notice her. But the diet is slowing down our team, said Mito. Because if she's weak, the rest of us are going to be weak as well. So I told her to stop it, but she told me that she can be a strong kunoichi despite her diet. So I decided to show her that she cannot. Mito, you can't just go around punching people's nose like that. Especially your teammates. Have you apologized? Yeah, and I'm sorry for what I did, she said. I told her I was sorry. I told her she could even punch me back. But she said it was fine. Did she forgive you? Yeah, she did. But at least now things are gonna change. Bachan said that she's gonna talk to her and help her along, to show her that that's not the way of being a kunoichi. Really, said Naruto. You're gonna subject someone other than us to snatty hind training, said Naruto. As his grandmother was quite brutal when it comes to her training. Yes, to have a strong mind and body, it was difficult. Yeah, I know what you mean, said Minato. His mother was quite rigorous when he was younger, as he was put in this dodgeball game where he had to dodge. And when she threw the ball towards him, enhanced with her strength when it hits you, it was quite dangerous, as all three of them rubbed a phantom pain that was no longer there on their shoulder, as that ball was really tough. Well, I'm sure she can handle it, said Minma. Well, after a long while. As long as you learn your lesson, Mito, don't go around just punching people like that. I have. But at least it brought success. And isn't that what we want in the first place? Yeah, but then I did nothing wrong, did I? As Minato sighed. Well, and I'm never gonna do it again, she said, as she smiled. So, what happened with you, Naruto, she said. Well, what do you expect? You passed, she said, as he put on a rather arrogant smirk. What do you expect, he said. Well, that means it's just gonna be a bit more time before I kick your ass, said Minma. Chunin exams? If you say so, said Naruto. Minato cleared his throat. What are you three talking about? Well, considering that Chunin exams always pass by and go to the other villages, we figure we'll be able to take them this year, said Minma. You know that you three are just graduating kids, right? Jenny just passed the exam. Yeah, we know, said Naruto. But we have been preparing for this the entire time. So, we feel like we're ready to become Chunins. Well, that's not up to you. Well, we know that, said Naruto. That is why we're gonna make you and our sensei see that we're ready, said Naruto. After all, not many kids can do this, as they all held out their hands, as a swirling ball formed inside of it, as Minato looked towards them with pride. But that pride went away, as he gave them a stern look. Remember, do not think just because you are stronger than most, that you have the right to be arrogant. I've taught you all that. We know that, Dad, said Minma. And we won't ever be arrogant, because you showed us that arrogance doesn't go anywhere. He came over, as he had a smile on his face as he pulled the three of them into a hug. I'm so proud of the three of you, he said. Just keep on doing what you're doing. He smiled towards them. Time skip. 2.5 months later, as Minato was currently in his office. It has been 2 months since the team passed their exams. There has been a lot of changes and development. One in particular was Sakura. The girl was taking her ninja career a bit more seriously now, seeing that on the first day of Tsunade's training with her, Tsunade had started her medical program as her son had assigned everything, and all Kunoichis in the village who wanted to, most of them wanted to, was being trained under the legendary medic. And Sakura had started up with that program as well. But Tsunade was teaching Sakura her super strength as well. On the first day of training, Sakura both hands were broken. Tsunade broke her hands in the training session, and Tsunade simply healed them once again and went into it again. It was that literal hell, but that pain helped Sakura to grow. The girl was coming far fast, as her strength was really increasing. At the young age that she was, with a monstrous strength like that, she was going to be truly terrifying soon enough. Shisui also saw something as he tests each member of his team one-on-one. When he had told them all to go all out to try and kill him, they didn't listen because when he fought each of them one-on-one, it was completely different. As having no one around to get caught up in his techniques, Naruto became quite destructive to the point where he had to lock off some of the training areas so Naruto didn't blow it up completely. Not to mention, with those summons of his, those tigers were really fast, as Naruto used everything in his arsenal to make sure he got the win. That was one thing Shisui liked about the boy. Sasuke was improving as well. Seisumi, on the other hand, was just showing more and more why she was known as a prodigy. The girl was quite incredible because she already had her Sharingan. The thing about it was the heat of a competition between her and Naruto, a sparring competition where she awakened her Sharingan. As her father was immensely proud of her, it made Sasuke feel a bit left out, but Seisumi was there for her brother, and so was Itachi. He would awaken his soon, he was just a late bloomer. After all, some Uchihas awakened theirs when they were 18. Shisui had spoken to Hokage about this. Rivalry between Naruto and Seisumi was helping the both of them grow because they were trying to outbest each other. Minato had been having a lot of talks with the council, each clan as well. Things was going as planned. No one was pushing out of line now that Danzo was gone. The Uchihas weren't being seen as the fearful ones in the village anymore. The police force was taking things under control once again. As the Hyugas did have a problem with them though. Hayashi and Fukaku didn't get along at all. The two men always bicker at something. Hayashi wanted his own police force, but seeing that it was given to the Uchihas by the second, Minato didn't want to disrupt that tradition, and he knew that would just shake things up too much. So he refused Hayashi's claim. The man was a bit upset, but it wasn't like he was gonna do anything. But still, they had what they wanted, things were not being pushed overboard, and that is what Minato liked. Now the problem was, the missions increase. Minato was a bit worried. As he sat in his office, he knew that he had enemies out there. Enemies that would love to see him suffer, most of them involved in the Hidden Stone. As Team 7 and Team 6 were in some kind of competition, as they were fighting for the top spot of which team can do the most D ranks. Minato wasn't sure if Shisui and Yamato was in on the trick as well. But Naruto and Menma usually come to him asking for D rank missions. As Yamato and Shisui didn't have a problem with it, so he allowed them to take the D rank missions. And the both of them were in some kind of competition. At the moment, Naruto's team, Team 7, was currently leading 63 to 60. In only 2.5 months, they have completed 63 D-rank mission. It was quite insane. But it was helping them, and also helping the village as well. As many people has been talking about their politeness, and how responsible they were, as they had completed all of their missions so far, lacking in none. There was also someone else that Minato was thinking about, and that was Itachi Uchiha, the captain of the Anvu. And that was none other than his former student, Kakashi Hatake. Had been giving good reports on Itachi. Itachi was now leading his own squad. The boy was making headway, but there was another problem. Scouts have reported that they have seen the masked man. That man that attacked the knight, that removed 9 tails from Kushina. A few Uchihas have gone missing lately. They have not come back from their missions. The place that they went, Anvus went there to go and investigate, and there was no sign of them. Minato was not thinking the positive, as he knew that they were most likely dead, and he figured this masked man has something to do with it. It seems like he really hated the Uchihas, despite being one of them as well. Minato still had no idea who he was, as he was unable to tag him that night because the man had fled the same moment when he saw the backup arrive. After all, no matter how powerful he was, he couldn't handle him, his mother, Jiraiya, and Orochimaru back then. Orochimaru, the one that turned to be a traitor to all of them. Minato shook that off at the moment. He knew that the time was coming, as the teams were getting a bit antsy because they have completed so many D ranks. They wanted a C rank now, as he heard Naruto complaining about it recently, and he was worried, knowing that his enemies would use this opportunity to strike. But he had faith in Shisui and the kids as well. But he wondered though, what does this masked man want? Time skip. As Minato was in the mission briefing room, where he saw Naruto came inside, as in his arms was a small cat who was snuggling up against him. Animals just seemed to like Naruto for some reason. All animals in fact. As a rather large woman had a big smile on her face. "You find him, my precious baby," she said as she opened her arms. The cat seemed to move away from the woman and simply got closer to Naruto. The woman stepped forward. "What's wrong?" she asked, as she looked towards her cat. "He doesn't seem to like you," said Sesame, in a rather polite tone. "But he's my cat." It was the wife of the fire daimyo and her cat Torun, who always ran away from her. Naruto detached the cat away from him. "It's gonna be alright. You're gonna go back with your mommy," he said. "Yes, come here, my baby," she said. She took him, as she put him right between her bosom. "Hey," said Naruto, as the woman stopped. "Yes." "You're kind of suffocating him." The woman looked down. "Oh my," she said, as Naruto blinked. She really did not notice that, as she removed the poor cat. "Thank you for your help once again," as she left. A rather sweet woman, but she seemed to not know when she's suffocating her own cat. Must be the reason the cat preferred to stick with Naruto, who just patted it gently. "And another one done," said Naruto as he pulled out a paper and write something on it. As Sasuke looked over his shoulder, "I see your little competition is going well," said Shisui. "That it is, Sensei, that it is," said Naruto. "Are we winning?" asked Sesame. "Do you have to even ask?" said Naruto, as he smiled to himself before he put away the piece of paper. "Well, these are getting quite boring," Sesame said. "Hokage-sama, if I may." He nodded for her to go on. "As I read in the former bookings of missions, I've seen that a team was only able to do 40 D-rank mission before they were able to take a C-rank mission. So if I may ask, can we embark on one of those C-rank missions? Something a bit more strenuous than these D-ranks." "Yeah," said Sasuke. "These are getting quite boring," he said. "Sasuke," said Aruka as he was sitting there. "This is not how things work." Minato raised his hand as he looked towards Shisui. "What do you think?" he said. "Do you think they can handle it?" "Well, given recent reports, I would say yes." As Minato looked them over as Naruto smiled. "Alright," he said. "Given that you're the second one to ask." "Wait, second?" "Well, Team 6 did get a C rank earlier this morning." "Wait, what?" said Naruto. "Yes, Menma told me not to tell you anything." As Naruto lowered his head. "That bastard," he said. "They're trying to one-up us." "So where did they go?" "Not too far, but out of the village," said Minato. "Huh. They even convinced Mom not to tell me." "She didn't tell me anything," said Naruto. "Well, Dad, you have to keep this a secret. Don't tell them about this either. So I want to see him when you try to rub it in my face, so I can return the favor." "As you wish," said Minato. His kids are just quite competitive, mostly with each other though." As he had already spoken to both Yamato and Shisui, as the both of them knew that this would come when they want something more difficult. He told them to be cautious out there. Not only did he had Naruto with him, he also had the two son and daughter of the Uchiha clan, the leader of the Uchiha clan. This team of his was rather valuable when it comes towards their life expectancy, because having the son of the Hokage and two Uchihas that were related right towards the head of the clan, there was many people out there that wished that they could get their hands on this team. "Alright," said Minato, but before he could pick anything, Anbu flashed in the office. "Hokage-sama," he said, as he handed the man a scroll. Minato took it and unraveled it. as he read. His eyes seemed to get a bit concerned. Hokage-sama, said Aruka. It seems like Tezuna lied about the mission parameters. Lied? As Aruka looked towards Hokage. Yes. Seems like the mission is not a C rank after all. Have the prisoners been dealt with? Asked Minato as he looked towards Anfu, who nodded. So why are they not back? Asked Aruka. It seems they still decide to take to the mission. But sir, that... no, said Minato. Something that was unadvised to do, especially since Tezuna lied about the mission. But they want to help the people of Wave. Minato sighed as he rubbed his forehead. Sir, there's something else. As Anfu handed Minato another note. As the man read over it. So it's him. Shisui. As Minato walked off towards the window, as Shisui stood beside him. Shisui nodded. As Minato whispered something to him. As Naruto wondered what the hell they were talking about, as he couldn't hear. Well, he could kind of. There's been something he's been working on. As Naruto enhanced his hearing, as he tried to latch onto their vocal cords. The last thing he heard was, take care of it. As Shisui nodded. Alright, Team 7, said Minato. Seems like I do have a mission for you. I want you guys to go and back up Team 6 at the Land of Waves. You will be informed by your sensei. As Shisui nodded as he ushered his team to follow him. Sir, is that wise? Asked Aruka. Shisui can handle it, said Minato as he handed Aruka another scroll, the one that the Anbu gave him last. As Aruka read over it. So it's that bad, huh? As the name on it was Gato. Gato of the shipping magnate. A man who has been taking over smaller nations recently, using him to transport his drugs and his weapons. The Fire Daimyo had warned him not to interfere with Konoha, or the Land of Fire, as the man was forbidden to come anywhere close. But they have found sightings of one of the warehouse being in the heart of the Land of Fire, where a sex train was going on where the Anbus had broken up recently. So this gave them the authority to take Gato out of the game and end this once and for all. There's been too many lives taken away, too many families ripped apart by this old, greedy man. It will come to an end once and for all. Time skip as the group was packed as they left out towards their mission. Kushina was planning on taking a team this year, as she was gonna rejoin the Shinobi program. After all, she hadn't been lacking in her skills, but that all was put on a hold because of what Minato did to her. As the way she said it, it would sound like Minato hurt her in some way, but on the contrary, it was not. Kushina was once again pregnant. Yes, a fourth child to be added to the family. As Natty was currently sitting down beside the woman. As she was currently 2 months pregnant, yes, it recently happened, just as she thought that she was gonna start up her shinobi career again, with her kids getting, well, old and out of the house. She hardly saw them as they were constantly on missions, and it made her quite worry about them all the time. To get her mind off things, she wanted to do something else, as she knew they would be fine though. But in a way, this was really good. She would get another baby that she could stay home with and spoil for the moment. It didn't mean that she would love any of them less. All of them were her kids, and she loved each of them equally. Snavy walked inside the room with a glass of water. You know, you're not defenseless, she said, as she had a smile on her face. Seems like you and my son are gonna start some kind of group program or something. Well, the more the better, said Kushina with a smile on her face, as she held on to her tummy. So, Snavy said, their first C-rank mission out of the village. How are you feeling? Quite fine, because I know in my heart that you're all gonna be okay. We train them for this. We prepare them for this. They're gonna be fine. And if anything, I'll go out there myself to make sure that you're okay. You know that you should stay home, in your state. You just said I wasn't defenseless. I know, but still. You can keep back and relax. After all, no one is gonna touch my grandbabies while I'm here. A smile came on Kushina's face as she heard that. As everything was gonna be fine, she thought to herself. Despite this being their first C-rank mission, she was trying not to worry about their safety out there, because she knew they were gonna be fine. There was no point of stressing herself out. Meanwhile, all of that was going on. Gato was frowning. He just received news that Zabuza was out of commission for the moment, after facing off against the Konoha ninja leader of the group. He thought that Zabuza was gonna be able to handle the man. But it was a surprise that even the kids were able to hold their own a bit, distracting Zabuza enough for their team leader to got the drop on him. But he didn't come out of it unscathed neither, as Zabuza hurt him a bit, but nothing life-threatening. And now he heard that there was another coming, a name that was supposed to be quite fearsome. Shisui have to teleport her, as he has been spotted making his way towards the land of Wave. And that was bad. Goto heard about him, Uchiha that was rising recently in the ranks. He looked towards his man that came inside. Have you received news? Yes, sir. The man said about, this is their fee. Goto yelled at that. What? One of them? Just one? No, sir. It seems that they work in teams together. But this is 4 times what I'm paying Zabuza. They say it's either that or it's no service. Goto snarled at that. Fine. To get rid of that damn bridge builder, get me through to the Akatsuki, an organization that was gun for hire basically. A group that was known to be filled with dangerous criminals. At least they will get the job done. This Shisui at the teleporter will not know what hit him. But guys, to be in subscribe right here. If you want something important to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on the bell notifications to get posted. Remember to share to all of your friends in your social media platform. But more for now, see you guys soon. Peace.